harmonizers, welcome to this video. We have just landed ourselves in a hotel for the night in Illinois because tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, we are picking up some Mustangs for the Mustang Tip Challenge for Ohio that will be held at Equine Fair coming up in April of 2020. So get ready to come on an adventure with me while we pick up my Mustang for the challenge with a little bit of a catch of I'm going to be bringing this Mustang with me to Florida while I'm down there for January and February, which means that I have a total of like 4 days to get this horse tame enough that I can get it ready for a vet check for the vet paperwork so that way we can take it to Florida on time. So who's with me on this journey? Let's go get some Mustangs. Alright guys, we just pulled in. We are in Ewing, Illinois. This is what the holding facility looks like here in Ewing, Illinois. Basically, it's a bunch of pens. The horses have a huge shelter area, lots of hay. If you can see the horses over there, they've got lots of food to eat, really big shelter, and a really stunning view that they probably don't appreciate. But it goes back onto some bigger pasture out there. So we are just waiting for the office to open. You can see my truck and trailer are ready. Because we're Canadians, we have to stop via Chicago. It adds like 3 hours to our drive to get a stamp on our papers to get back into Canada. It's really weird. They don't even look at the horses. They just want to stamp the papers. So we have to do that, which means we are first to go. So we're pretty excited. Hope you guys are too. And we're going to meet our Mustangs. Here we go with the sorting process. So these are the holding pens and you can see all the horses moving around there, and that's because the handler or the BLM worker has his stick, and you can see a horse just fell down, which I think is actually my horse that just fell down. But basically he has to start the sorting process. So the pens are there and it's a bunch of little pens off to the side, and he has to kind of move them through and try to separate them out a little bit. So they've all run down to this other side here, and he's going to basically come around and he's going to try to sort them so that way all of the other horses run back into that pen except for my horse. So we're going to see a little bit of that footage happening. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here just because it took him a while to get over and got to sort some of the horses. So you can see they're all kind of running around on that little area there. And so this is where it takes a lot of talent on the handler's part to be able to sort the horses and not injure anybody. You can see the horses are all pretty scared. And the tool that he is using is basically just a whip with a plastic bag on the end, or like a little flag on the end. So this is why in particular I do not use a whip or a flag or anything like that when I'm first training my horse, because the only way that the only thing they know humans for is basically using a flag to chase them into a chute, and usually something undesirable happens, like they get dewormed or they get vaccinated, or I don't think they get vaccines, but they get dewormed, or they get their feet somehow done, or they get blood pulled for a Coggins. So it's not really a great experience, or they get branded. So it doesn't really make sense to me that you would start your training session with that, but I'll definitely be filming his first session. And if you want to see how I do that, just take a look at the next video that I'll be posting. And so you might be wondering what's going on. And so essentially, he's kind of waiting for a horse that's not mine to be leading the pack to kind of get around the corner and get out. And so he's kind of like, this is actually very good. What he's doing here is you let the horses kind of move around and sort themselves out. He's trying to keep his belly off to the side. And so you can see he's letting a bunch of horses, or he let one horse, I think, go through there, but he had to block my horse from going through. And then he kind of moves and sort gates so that way certain horses can go down all the way back to the pen. And then if he accidentally lets mine out, it can't go all the way back out to the pen. It just goes around the corner there. So you can see he's letting another little horse go through. So it's running down to the left, and then he'll kind of rearrange the gates, and that horse will be allowed to go back over to the right where the other horses are. So it's, there you go. You can see the horse running off to the right. So it's going back to the original pen that we saw him kind of shoo them out from. So it's kind of like maneuvering all these gates and kind of sorting the horses all out. My horse is, I guess you guys are all waiting to find out which one's my horse. If you watched the video before this, you saw me going through how I kind of listed my horses in order of what I wanted. And I'll let you guys see in a second who I ended up getting. We'll let him do a little bit more sorting here. So you can see he's kind of blocking different horses, moving different horses. And then you can see that big dark bay that is left there, that is not super happy about being left by himself right there at the present moment. But check out some of his agility moves as he comes back and forth. So that guy, that dark bay, is actually my first pick from the video. He is the horse from Bible Springs, Utah. And so he was my first pick just because that particular HMA, as well as a couple other ones from Utah, are preserved for their Spanish bloodlines, and I thought that would be super cool to have a horse with Spanish bloodlines. They tend to be more athletic and agile and able to collect themselves, so I thought that would be pretty fun to work with. And we can see he had some pretty fancy movement as he was moving around there. So you can see he's got quite a bit of knee action to his movement. He's definitely not going to be a hunter. Hunters like more flat knee movement. But he's got a lot of spring in his step, but he's also obviously very agitated and upset right now too. So I'm not really seeing the way he would move in a relaxed setting. So what's happening now is they are sorting out Amelia's horse. So Amelia is my travel buddy that came with me on this particular trip. She is also doing a Mustang for this challenge, and she's 17. She's a youth, so that means she could only choose horses that were 1 or 2 years old. And so she's got a 1-year-old little bay gelding that is her horse for the challenge. So we're just waiting for him to get sorted out from a separate pen down there. And my guy is just moving around, and I just thought you guys might find it interesting to just see how my horse moves and kind of what he's doing around there. I always find it interesting to just watch horses do kind of their own thing a little bit there. And then you can see the little bay gelding just kind of saunters along and comes on over. And so the reason why youth can only pick a 1 or 2 year old horse is because generally the 1 and 2 year old horses are significantly easier to gentle and tame. They haven't had as long to be scared of humans. Some of them are actually even born in the facility, or not all of them, a lot of them aren't, but some of them are born at the holding facility, and they're just younger, so they're easier, they're smaller, less dangerous potentially, so they can use 1 or 2 year olds. And so you can see my guy's pretty excited to see that there's another little horse that looks like it's going to be joining him. And when the horses are at the holding facilities, they keep the 1 and 2 year old horses separate. And that's because they are smaller and they don't want them to get injured when they're trying to get their hay and stuff like that. But since these guys are going to be traveling together, they've put them together. And so this part of the video, like the horses are, my trailer's lined up and they're about to get shoed onto the trailer. And it happens so fast that I actually miss my horse getting on the trailer, because he goes lightning fast through there. And I thought they were going to like run back out or something, but no, they just ran right onto the trailer, and I was like, oh shoot, here they go. So my horse is already on the trailer, and then that was Amelia's horse, and that's Amelia there with that reddish kind of sweater on. So you'll see her again in a second. There she is pushing the stroller for me. And so we decided to come together because it's always nicer to travel with a buddy. Both the humans and the horses prefer to have a buddy with us. So that was it. So they're on my trailer. And here's little Evelyn. So this is us making one of our pit stops. She's doing some tummy time on the table at the McDonald's, I think is where we are. And Evelyn kind of dictated our stops a little bit because I have to stop and feed her every 3 hours or so. But here's us kind of checking in on the pony. So this little guy looking at us, that's Amelia's little 1-year-old guy. So he's a pretty big boy for just being 1 year old. And he seems to be, you know, more chill about the whole thing than my guy. There's a good bum view there. So mine is a 3-year-old, and this is him looking at us. So he definitely needs a name. And so you can throw your name suggestions down. But I'll be posting his first session video, and that's the one where I think is a better one to post your name ideas on, because you actually get to see what he's like for me to work with him on. But if you have anything that you're burning to post, you can comment on it on this one as well. So that's Amelia's little guy. You can see he's pretty friendly. He pretty much came right up over, and that's just typical of the 1-year-old horses. Not all of them are friendly like that, and some of the older horses are too, but in general they're just significantly easier. So that lets you kind of see them a little bit. This is on a different stop. You can see the lighting's a bit different. And usually we don't offer water to the horses until they've been on the trailer for about 6 hours, and then afterwards we hang up a bucket. The reason why we don't do it right away is because they're not interested in water anyways, and we also don't want them to be upset and get hooked on it or something like that. So we finally made it to the Canadian border. This is the Canadian border, the crossing at Windsor, Detroit. That's the Ambassador Bridge there. So it was a pretty long day. It was probably, it's like over 9 hours of driving to this particular point, and that's without stops. And so we also have to make the stops. So you got to feed the baby, give water to the ponies, change the baby, feed ourselves, go to the bathroom ourselves. And this is at Amelia's place. So what we did is there's like this little gated area off the trailer. And so I'm going to end up putting the phone down from filming just because it was a little bit too tricky for me to film and kind of be responsible at the same time. But basically, the horses are going to come off the trailer, and we're just kind of let them kind of be in this little area behind the trailer and wait for it to kind of work itself out so that my horse goes back on the trailer and Amelia's doesn't, and then we'll shut the door. And my horse is going to spend the night on the trailer while I get some rest, and then we'll continue on the next day. So we're just kind of letting them do their thing. And so this is the next morning. That's Amelia. Those are her pajamas, by the way, super cool pajamas. And so we're giving my boy a new bucket of water. Basically, it's like a giant stall in here, so he spent the night in the trailer, but again, it's basically like a stall, so he had lots of room. He could lay down. It was sheltered. It was a pretty happy place for him, and he's going to get some more water and get continuing on the road back to my house. So along the way, you can see the traffic going to the left, which is the direction I was going. There were some car accidents, and it basically got like to a standstill. So I stopped, and it just happened to be an outlet mall. So I bought Evelyn this cute, adorable little unicorn hat while I was waiting for the traffic to clear a little bit, and fed her and stuff. And just like, I mean, look at that cute little unicorn hat. So friggin' adorable. Anyways, back to the ponies. So we make it back to my farm. And so this is a big moment. We are opening the door to the trailer, and we're going to watch my little man come off the trailer. I shouldn't call him little man, because of all the Mustangs I have, I think he might actually be the biggest. Definitely got a good sized bone on him. I apologize that the footage is a bit blurry and dark. You may notice there is a lot of white stuff on the ground, and the poor boy is now going to get introduced to snow. So when we open the door, I think what's really important with the horses is that we just have to slow down, and we just have to be patient. We don't need to chase them around or anything like that. We just need to breathe and give them time. And so we've opened the door here, and we're kind of allowing him some time to assess the situation. I think when we try to rush things and just make things happen right away, that's when bad stuff happens, or horses panic and they go the wrong way, or they potentially go crashing into gates and stuff like that because they're upset and they're anxious. So here he's not coming out. So we're like, okay, what can we do to help him figure it out? And then we remember, oh yeah, there's like trailer lights that we can put on to flood a little bit more light, make it a little bit easier for him. So we get those turned on. And we're trying to stand back far enough that he's got a clear path. Even though the gate there isn't latched, that's because that's the gate we're going to lock him into the paddock with. My farm is secured on the other side though, so even if he somehow decided to turn himself around and go towards the scary man in the brown suit, it would still be okay. He wouldn't be able to get out there, so not a big worry. my husband's peeking in. So because he's not really coming out, he's like, yeah, I'm pretty happy in this trailer, don't need to come out. And a second, my husband's going to go around and just open one of the windows and just kind of shoo him a little bit. Not with a flag or anything. We don't want to overwhelm him. We're not trying to terrify him. But we do need him to come out of the trailer. And so my husband's going to go over and do that. And the gate isn't latched there, but it's kind of secured at the side there. And I figured it would be okay while he jumps off. He's not going to be able to go through that tiny little space anyways. So, and then it's more easy for my husband to come around and shut the gate. So you'll see my husband's going to come right around and he's going to get that gate shut right away, just because it's better for him to be secured in there than roaming around out by the trailer. So he is out there, and he's got a nice big round bale there. And I end up actually bringing Kaibu over for him, but because it's just so dark, I didn't film any of that for you guys. But I will pick this back up on his first training session, so make sure you watch the next video. And let me know what you think of my new guy. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you at his first session.